1 out of about 20 million people who every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock tune in to CBS for the television show NCIS. NCIS, or Naval Criminal Investigative Service, is a worldwide federal law enforcement organization that focuses on the Navy, the Marine Corps, and their family. Today I want to talk to you about the similarities between the television show and the actual organization. I'm going to do this by first talking about the strong relationship that each has with each other. Then I'm going to talk to you about how the set on the television show is very similar to the actual headquarters. And then I'm going to talk to you about the characters and how they represent real people. To start, I want to mention two of the technical advisors for the show, Leon Carroll and Dawn Sorensen. Leon Carroll is a retired NCIS agent who worked there for 23 years as a special agent, and Dawn Sorensen is the current regional forensic scientist for NCIS. Both serve on the TV's cast, on the crew, as technical advisors. So you can see they're constantly giving advice about how to make the show more realistic. They provide storylines for the show from their past experiences, and there's just a very strong input from them. Next, I want to mention that former director of NCIS, Thomas Matro, actually made a cameo appearance in 2005. Richard Warmack, who is currently the senior field agent in the Norfolk office, in an interview with CBS producers for Season 2, for special features, talked about how the real organization is constantly giving the television show storylines, constantly encouraging them to input these real cases into their shows, and that every single episode, he said, has a semblance of realism in the show. He also went on to tell a funny story about Mark Harmon, who plays his television counterpart, came in for inspection at one point in the real organization, and he actually gave a briefing to the inspectors and completely fooled everyone, and the inspectors had no idea that it was actually Mark Harmon and not a real agent. And in return, the television show provides great publicity for the organization, makes it a lot easier for them to recruit, so the relationship is very strong between the show and the actual organization. Moving forward, I want to talk to you about the set. As you can see here, this is the squad room. This is where brainstorming amongst agents takes place. Paperwork will be filed here. They'll do their computer work. They'll pull up cell phone files. They'll pull up other files of that sort when they're dealing with a case. And you can see that they're very similar, the television show and the real set. There's hardly any difference between the two. You can see the computers, you can see the desks. The same thing pretty much goes on in the show in real life. Next, I want to talk about the Multiple Threat Alertment Center. This is called MTAC, if you will. This is where higher end issues would take place. This is where you would see your wiretaps and you would see your satellite conferences going on. It deals more with upper end terrorist alerts, foreign intelligence issues and things like that. And you can see the television show side may be a little more pleasing to the eye, a little more spacious. But that's only because that's what they have to do. They have to make it appealing for the viewers. But in general, you see the computers, you see the monitors. The idea is the same. The view is the same. Finally, I want to talk about the forensics lab. You can see here, again, very similar between the television show and the real organization. Dawn Sorensen, who I mentioned before, the current regional forensic scientist for NCIS, just last year in an Entertainment Tonight interview, talked about her recent visit to the television set, and she actually commented on the fact that every piece of equipment in the lab is functional. It's just that they're using it as props, but it could be used for real forensics. Moving forward again, I want to talk to you about the characters on the show. I want you to see each actor not as just a fictional character, but as a representation of a real person. Here you have the director of NCIS, Gregory Scovell. He is represented by Rocky Carroll, who plays director Leon Vance on the television show. Next, you have forensic specialist Abby Shuto, who's played by Paulie Perrette, and her real-life counterpart, Dawn Sorensen. Then you have the famous Leroy Jethro Gibbs, senior special agent, played by Mark Harmon, who represents Richard Warmack. And finally, you have about 1,200 real special agents currently employed. Here you see Mark Harmon, Sasha Alexander, and Michael Weatherly, Agent Todd, Agent Gibbs, and Agent Donoso, if you will. And they represent these 1,200 or so agents who do the same thing they do on television every day in real life. To sort of wrap things up, I'm not trying to convince you that the television show should be classified amongst documentaries, because it's not. As Richard Warmack, senior field agent, says, they don't do their investigations in 45 minutes. They're not trying to appeal to an audience as they're investigating. But I do want you to see that there are similarities between the television show and the real organization. So to summarize, I told you about the strong relationship between the two. I told you about how the set and the real headquarters are very similar, and how each character represents actual people or an actual person. So to conclude, I want you to think not only that is it a real cool show, but that it's a cool, real show as well. Thank you.